It wasn't a big deal. Just told him he should leave then, and we went on with practice.
I mean, this is going to be a lingering issue, you feel like?
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to give, like, every day, every single moment, I'm going to give Ben a chance to join the team and be part of the team. He's under contract to be part of the team, and so that's not going to change. You know, sometimes it happens quick and guys join back in. Sometimes it doesn't. I've been in both situations, and I'm fine with that. But at the end of the day, as a coach, I have to protect the team. The team first, and then we get to the other part. And so today, I just thought it was more important to focus on the team.
Well, in reality, how can you?
There's no reality.
Okay.
This is sports.
Okay. Well, whatever this is.
Yeah.
How can you bring a guy back who obviously doesn't want to be here?
I will
And it's
tell you
obvious.
this is watch football, baseball, basketball. It's happened 1,000 times, and it can happen here too. My job as a coach is to keep trying to get guys to buy in, to be in, and unfortunately this is tougher, this situation, but that's my job. And
Did you
so
talk
I'm
to
not
him
gonna
at all?
stop.
Did he explain anything?
We've had conversation. We had a good conversation today. That's not to be shared. You know, that's between Ben and I.
At this point, I don't care about that man, honestly. He does whatever he wants. You know, that's not my job. You know, that's those guys' jobs. You know, I'm only focused on trying to make the team better, win some games, you know, play hard every night, try to lead, you know, the guys that we have here. And I'm sure they feel the same way because, you know, our chemistry has been excellent. Despite, you know, everything that's been happening in the last few months. So yeah, like I said, I don't really care. But at the end of the day, our job is not to babysit somebody. You know, we get paid to put just on the court, go out, play hard, win some games. That's all we get paid for. We don't get paid to come out here and, you know, try to babysit somebody. And so that's not our job, and I'm sure my teammates feel that way.
Well, almost 20 years later, and we still talking about practice in Philadelphia. The Sixers have suspended Ben Simmons for 1 game for detrimental conduct to the team. He will not play in the season opener at New Orleans Wednesday night. Reportedly, Doc Rivers asked Ben Simmons to join a defensive drill today. Simmons refused. Rivers asked again. Simmons said no again. Rivers then told Simmons he should go home, and Simmons dropped the ball and left. So, Mr. Ben Simmons apologist, go ahead and take up for your boy. Go ahead and defend your boy.
I can't.
You've been doing this whole ordeal. You've been bending over
close.
backwards. Michael, I didn't know you were a contortionist in your spare time. You have bent over backwards to defend Ben Simmons. The floor is yours.
No, the floor is ours, because the floor is going to be mine very, very, very quickly. I have no defense for this. Look, I know why Ben Simmons is upset, and maybe I would be upset too, because there's always something bigger than what's being reported. I'm sure there's some things behind the scenes that Ben Simmons is still angry about. Maybe that happened after Game 7, before Game 7, maybe last year. Maybe, maybe it's just a culmination of many things. But I cannot defend a professional who refuses to act like a professional. So I gotta be consistent on this. I felt the same way about James Harden, a player I'm not too fond of. When James Harden was doing this last year in Houston, I thought it was unacceptable because it's unprofessional behavior. When the former loser, Anthony Davis, did this on his way out of New Orleans, wearing his stupid "That's All Folks" shirt as his social commentary, Porky Pig social commentary out of New Orleans, I thought that was unprofessional. Just like right now with Ben Simmons, look, if you're going to be there, man, you got to take part in it, even if you're thinking longer term, if you're thinking like a strategist, and you're trying to get out of Philadelphia, you got to take part in the drills that they ask you to take part of. You got to be a part of the team, even if it's for the very short term, Michael Smith. It's just the short term. He's going to be out of there by November.
Willie?
Yeah.
Just to
November.
recap here, Woj says that the Sixers have fined Ben Simmons $1.4 million for his absence from 4 preseason games. That's $360,000 each. And they've levied numerous
mad at
team
that.
fines for missed practices, on-court workouts, and meetings. In other words, he hasn't earned any money since returning to the team on October 11th. Let's not forget they withheld
Bad strategy.
an installment of his salary. So, to recap, he showed up only to get sent home again. So, my question for Ben Simmons at this point is, who do you think you are? Exactly who do you think you are? Because I'm glad you brought up James Harden. I'm glad you brought up Anthony Davis. I'll bring up Jimmy Butler. All the people who have acted out in order to get their way. All the wheels who have gotten squeaky enough to get the proverbial grease or oil, whichever you prefer. Ben Simmons ain't that dude. Because unlike James Harden last year, there is not a team on standby and on speed dial waiting to give you what you want. See, this is what frustrates me about Ben Simmons.
You don't know that.
This temper tantrum is still an example of him not understanding who he is and who he isn't, and how much all of this has to do with his shortcomings. All of your teammates, particularly Joel Embiid, your head coach Doc Rivers, they all responded in frustration when their so-called star player didn't show up when they needed him and held them back yet again in the postseason. Ever since then, they've tried to make peace with him. They've tried to reconcile. Doc Rivers doing his best Michael Holley and bending over backwards at this press conference that we just heard, saying, it's my job to do everything possible to welcome him back to the team. So maybe, you know what, side note, I'll get back to my rant in a second. Sidebar, I must really be underestimating Ben Simmons. Because in my mind, he ain't worth all this trouble. He ain't worth all this drama. If I was Doc Rivers,
You are underestimating.
I'd be like, you know what, take your ass
underestimating.
home and go ahead and we'll be fine without you. We can get eliminated in the second round without you. That's what I would say if I were Doc Rivers. Instead, Doc Rivers continues to practice patience with this young man. God bless you, Doc Rivers, okay? Back to Ben Simmons, though. If you're Ben Simmons, you lost all this money, you were tired of losing money, you realize that Daryl Morey is too stubborn to have done what I said he should have done a long time ago, which is resolve this situation by trading him for whatever you could get for him. You reluctantly showed up. Now you're disengaged. Now you're not being a professional, as you said, Michael Holley. And now they've sent you home. Tell me exactly how this helps your case. Because anybody who's thinking about trading you already knows that they're getting a flawed and fragile player. This does nothing but perpetuate that. So how does this behavior suggest to another team that, you know what, that's the guy we should go get? Let's swoop in now and play Captain Save Up Ben. Let's save Ben and the Sixers from themselves and make this trade right now for that guy. The guy who won't show up in the fourth quarter, the guy who won't shoot, the guy who won't even dunk when the opportunity presents itself. Okay. Now the guy who threw a temper tantrum in the offseason, and now when he shows up, won't be a professional. It was in his best interest to show up and not show out, but ball out. That was the only way he was going to get out of there. Now exactly how is he helping himself? Because again, he does not have the body of work that Anthony Davis, James Harden, or Jimmy Butler had, where teams were ready, willing, and able to acquire them despite how they burned it down on the way out. I gave you the floor, you gave it back. I'm not done. I gave you all the time you wanted. Ben Simmons needs to hear this.
It's not a monologue. It's a conversation. You can't just say,
Ben Simmons needs to hear this.
You can't throw out all this erroneous.
Not you. This ain't for you,
You can't throw out all this
Michael.
erroneous information.
It ain't erroneous.
You're throwing out.
Okay, show me the lie.
It is.
Show me the lie. Go ahead. Show me the lie.
Okay, here's the lie. Now, in your rant against Ben Simmons, now you have torn him down as a basketball player. Didn't show up in the fourth quarter. Yeah, he shows up in the fourth quarter. Not always shooting the ball, though. Look, like your people, the guy you're talking about, James Harden, is a one-way player. Ben Simmons is a one-way player too. As a matter of fact, he's a more versatile player than James Harden in a lot of ways because he can shut you down on defense, and he actually can rebound the ball and can impact the game on one end. Okay, no, he's not a more versatile player than James Harden, but don't act like Ben Simmons is not an all-star. Don't act like Ben Simmons is not an all-NBA talent. He is. So like, oh, well, he can't do this, he can't do that. You're making him sound like he's somebody's 8th or 9th man, which he's not. He's still one of the 25 or 30 best players in the NBA.
If he were so great, somebody would have given Daryl Morey what he's holding out for. Why hasn't somebody given up everything that Daryl Morey thinks he should get for him? He's overrated and has been overrated.
No.
And the sooner all of y'all come to that realization, the better off we'll be.
No, Daryl Morey is the problem here, as you pointed out. Let me just continue to use your words to support my argument. You said that Daryl Morey has mismanaged the situation, and he has.
Yes.
So look, I can love Ben Simmons. If I'm the general manager of Minnesota or Sacramento or Portland, I could love Ben Simmons, but I'm not going to overpay for Simmons when I know they got to get rid of him. It's clear now. As a matter of fact, any kind of offer I would have given that I gave 2 weeks ago, I'm calling Daryl Morey today and say, oh, hey, dog, that offer's off the table. Let me just lower it for you because y'all think this is an untenable situation. You just suspended the guy. You've been fining him. You could have waived the fines. You didn't. Y'all don't like each other. So why am I going to give you like 100 draft picks? Why am I giving you great players? No, I want them, but on my terms. And he needs a change of scenery. It's clear. It can't work there in Philadelphia. I'll tell you, I was foolish enough, Mike, to set the over-under at 15 games. He ain't going to play 15 games in Philadelphia. He may not make 5 games playing for the Philadelphia 76ers.
I don't know why
they have to trade him. Hey, why? Because he won't even practice. Thank you, Allen Iverson. Not the game. He won't even practice with y'all. He's not even making eye contact. And you want to talk about I know it's Doc, you and Doc want to keep bringing up the contract. Okay, the contract. That's cute, right?
I ain't said nothing about the contract.
Well, Doc did. Listen, if he really cared about the contract, he would have been there on October 11th saying, yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes, sir. No, sir. I'm happy, sir. You see me smiling? I'm happy. But he's not dancing. He's not doing a soft shoe for them. So obviously the money is not getting through to him. He don't get it yet. He's a little slow. He don't get it yet. The money is not bothering him. He doesn't want to be there. And I don't know how many ways he can say it to him. Now, it's a weird strategy. I got to admit, it's not something that I would recommend. I've called out Clutch Sports before. I'll do it again. Ben Simmons, Rich Paul, what the hell y'all doing? If you're going to show up, you might as well get your money. Don't show up and don't do anything.
You need friends and you need an agent that's willing to tell you not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And they didn't fill his head with all this nonsense about how Philadelphia has held you back from being the best that you can be, as opposed to vice versa. So they didn't fill his head with this idea that, Embiid, he's preventing you from being your best self. You need to go to an organization that's built around you. You deserve better. Okay, or you've been wronged. All these things that he thinks is the case, and that's why he shows up and cuts off his nose to spite his face. I'm not saying dude's a scrub. I know how decorated he is. I know how hyped he was coming out of LSU. I'm familiar with the statistics that he's put up in the first few years of his career, matched only by people like LeBron and Oscar Robertson. I get that. I know what he is, but I also know what he isn't. And he isn't a guy that a team is ready, willing, and able to mortgage its franchise for, a la James Harden, a la Anthony Davis. He is not that guy, okay? And here's the other thing. He's stuck like Chuck because Philadelphia, unlike Houston, let's just take Houston. Houston knew that it had to rebuild. So Houston was looking for a different kind of package than what Philadelphia needs, which is the kind of return that's going to allow it to remain competitive in the Eastern Conference. So all I'm saying is, regardless of how we both feel about Ben Simmons, that's debatable. What's not debatable is that Daryl Morey is calling the shots here, and Daryl Morey is the least uncomfortable of anybody. Ben Simmons can be pissed off that he's got to be there. Doc Rivers can try to be real zen about this situation, but Daryl Morey is sitting back and doesn't care. Daryl Morey is not moved, and Daryl Morey is unbothered unless and until he gets an offer that he likes. And he's not going to get that offer that he likes, to your point just now, with Ben Simmons acting like this. This is counterproductive for Ben Simmons.
It's counterproductive for everybody. Ben Simmons and everybody else.
The Sixers are right where they were before he showed up.
No.
They're in the same position they were before he showed up.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you flat out. Yes or no? Yes or no? Are the Sixers right now better than they were when they lost Game 7 to Atlanta? Are they better or worse? Or the same?
They're worse, which is
worse.
You say yes or no. They're worse. They're worse. I won't add anything else. They're worse.
All right.
I won't add anything else. Go ahead.
I say yes or no. All right, so they're worse. And if you're trying to win a championship and you're worse with a guy that you can't move, you're not going to get better until something changes with him. And there are two things. Either he changes and he comes back to you, which is not going to happen because he's got new material. I'm not saying I agree with him, but he's got new material. I'm in his head now. I got him figured out. As a matter of fact, if he listened to me, I can help him. Because like you and like me, Ben Simmons has workplaces where he don't think management is worth he's worked places like that. I have. So have you. But you know what? You get through it. You get through it. And there's some days you go to work and you on your way to work, you're grabbing that steering wheel and the steering wheel could pull off. You come home, you're tense. You're just tense all the time. And you're thinking, you're just replaying stuff that just bothers you. And it's not even that big, but you think it's big because it bothers you. But you still have to be a professional. And so he either has to get through that and be a pro, which he's not willing to do, or they got to get him out of there. So yeah, he's eager to change, but they got to be eager to change too. You can't stay. They can't say, hey, let's just move on. No, you can't move on if you want to win. Now look, if you just want to say forget Ben and act like it's high school basketball and nobody's getting paid and you're not in professional sports, go ahead. You can have a nice little season, win 44 games, and not losing the second round of the playoffs, but losing the first round of the playoffs. But if you're trying to win, you got to handle this Ben Simmons situation. You can't bury your head, you can't cover your ears.
But wait a second.
And act like it's going to go away.
This is my problem with your commentary throughout this entire Ben Simmons ordeal. Okay, is you want it both ways. You want it both ways. Because a minute ago, you just pointed out accurately,
yes, I do,
that they are a better team with Ben Simmons. You know who else has said that publicly? Doc Rivers. So everybody in the organization. Now, I know the reality. I know the reality of the situation. That the moment Daryl Morey gets an inkling that an upgrade is available, Ben Simmons is out of there. And at a certain point this offseason, Michael, I even try to understand it from Ben Simmons' perspective. No matter if I disagree with it, I try to understand it, okay? That you know what? I can't, this is untenable. I can't continue here. I need out, which is why I kept banging the table and saying the bad guy here is Daryl Morey. So, having said all of that, though, everybody is willing to turn the page except for Ben Simmons, who'd rather be butthurt, okay? And all being butthurt is doing is biting him in the ass. Here's what I mean by that. You just said a moment ago,
it's the appearance.
Michael, you just said a second ago that they're better with Ben Simmons. They all recognize they're better with Ben Simmons. So they're saying, hey, man, let's let bygones be bygones. Let's go get this money. Okay, let's go pursue this championship. Doc Rivers has said all the right things, even if we look at him, skeptically. Joel Embiid has said all the right things. And guess what? For some strange reason, Embiid and Simmons ain't talked yet. So if you're Ben Simmons, you're the only one stopping this train from moving forward. You're the only one doing it. And it's in your best interest to get on said train, help to rehabilitate your trade value, and then get what you want. That's all I'm saying. The Sixers are ready to welcome him back. He doesn't want to be welcomed back. He'd rather hold a grudge when he's come to realize, or at least we thought, he does not hold any of the cards. You can't afford to hold a grudge right now. That's my problem with Ben Simmons, is that he has overrated and overestimated his own worth and his own value, first and foremost. And now he's doubling down on that by being counterproductive, not participating in practice. I'm so frustrated at how he has gone about this whole thing. I want Ben Simmons to go be great somewhere else. It ain't happening in Philly. I agree with you. But it's not going to happen on his timetable either. So what do you do in the meantime? He's not a person who could throw a tantrum and get out of there because of all the reasons we've already laid out. This is poor management on the part of both the Sixers and Camp Simmons.
All right, well, look, that train you talked about, hey, get on board. The problem is the train is a political train. It ain't legit. It's a political train. As my man Montero, also known as Lil Nas X, sometimes says, y'all was never rooting for me anyway. All right, they're not really about Ben Simmons and turning the page. What they're about,
old dude, you listen to a lot of modern music. you be hip to like the, you listen to today's
chart
toppers.
That's what you do when you're hanging out with your kids, man. You're hanging out with your kids, listening to their music. But listen, he knows that they're phony. What they're doing, they're saying they need to turn the page for appearance sake. But they're not legitimately turning the page. If you're turning the page, then tell Daryl Morey to put the phone down. Drop the weapon, Daryl. Drop the weapon. Put your weapon down, and I'll put mine down. No. Daryl Morey ain't dropping the weapon. Hey, you come back. You played a good soldier, and I'm going to stay on the phone, and as soon as I get what I want, you out of here. So he ain't trying to play that game.
But you said they're better with him. You've already said that. They're better with him.
Yes, they are.
They know it.
Yeah.
You know it. Marcellus knew it. And Ben Simmons should have better known better, because Ben Simmons is better with them for now. That's the moral of today's story. He's better with them for now versus home losing more money and more leverage and his reputation or whatever's left of it.